Welcome to Shine On. Today we have a great friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time, as usual, and she is a loan officer. This is Paula Farino. So can you say hi to everyone and
Hi, thank you
introduce
for having
yourself?
me. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I'm Paula Farino. We've known each other for a long time since I was living in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I'm now in Orlando, Florida.
And you are a loan officer who is licensed in the state of Florida and soon to be in Virginia too, right?
Yep, yep, absolutely.
So she's going to talk to us today about how she went from artist to loan officer and the education required, the time frame to get set up, all of those great things that are what we care about when the rubber meets the road, right? And so Paula, you were originally an artist, right? And how much were you involved with numbers and
Well, other
math?
than not too much, other than, keeping, obviously you have to keep records of your expenses and all of that for business purposes. Other than that, not so much. I'm more of a picture person, obviously visual, that kind of thing. Although I did very well in math in school, so there's that. But no, in the day to day, being a professional artist, there wasn't a lot of math involved. Well, yeah, maybe in terms of like pictures and ratios and things like that, a little bit there.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's my point is that you're a great story of someone who has kind of made a turn in your life, and you wouldn't necessarily have thought of yourself as someone who would roll up your sleeves and get into the numbers on things. And here you are, changing all of that as your kids are growing up and launching. So, and you've been homeschooling, I guess you said 8, 10 years.
Yeah, I homeschooled my boys for 8 years. I have one now that's graduated and two that are in high school, in private school right now.
Okay, great. And what made you even think about going into kind of the mortgage world, lending world?
Well, it's funny. I joke and I tell people that this is my midlife crisis career shift because it is kind of a left turn from the art world. But I was had my own business. I was creating custom artwork for people, and I was coaching artists. And I got to a place where I was feeling a little burnt out. I was working really hard and I wasn't making as much money as I wanted to be making. We had a lot of loss in our family recently, and it got me thinking like I need to be able to make more money. If I had to take care of myself, how would I do that? And it got me thinking about different career paths. And I thought about some different things, going deeper into coaching, going back to school. I weighed my different options. But the mortgage industry came up again, and it's something that I knew a family friend who had been in the mortgage industry, and probably like 10, 12 years ago, I had a thought, and I was like, I could do that. I don't know why, but I had the thought I could do that. And it wasn't the season for it, but I kind of just hid it in my heart for that time. And then when I was doing this soul searching of what should I do next, it came up again. And I had a friend who said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a loan officer?" And I was like, "Funny you should say that. Actually, yes." And so when I started exploring the process of how do you do that, how do you get your license to do that, I was like, well, there's not much risk here. What's the risk in
Mm-hmm.
trying? A couple $100 and my time. So I
Right.
thought, okay, let me just go for it. Let's just see. Let's see if I can learn this. And if I can learn this, then let's see if I can pass the state licensing exam. And then if I can pass that, let's see if I can get somebody to hire me. Okay, and it was just like one step at a time into it.
Yeah. So talk about the education. It's an online course, or how does someone get educated to be a loan officer?
Yeah, it was an online course, the one I did, and if I'm remembering right, I think you had like 2 weeks to complete it or something like that. So you had to really kind of dedicate that time. I believe it was 22 hours, something like that. It's not a lot, but it's loads of information kind of thrown at you at once. But it's online at your own pace, and I think it was a couple $100. Very low
Okay.
investment.
Okay, great. And so, and then you take a test right away and you find out whether or not you've passed. And so what are the kinds of things, what were the challenging things to learn? Was it a lot of math, or was it a lot of laws, or?
I feel like the laws were the biggest kind of hurdle. The math itself, it's not super high level math, so it wasn't, that part for me was not difficult. But the laws were really intricate and complicated. The history, and the mortgage industry has shifted a lot in the last, several years. So it was a lot to take in for sure.
Okay, okay. And then, and so then you interviewed with different lenders. And how did you kind of know what was a good fit for you? And I'm assuming you work from home, right?
Yeah, I do work from home, which was one of the things that I loved about this job and why I was so attracted to it, because it's a work from home job. It's a work from anywhere job. Um, but yeah, I did a lot of research, and I interviewed with a lot of different companies. I was very, very selective about who I chose to go with, because I knew, for me, coming into the mortgage industry, not having a background in finance, that training was going to make or break me. And if I didn't have that right kind of training, that I would not be successful. So I mean, God directed me, and it was, really miraculous. But I ended up with a boss who actually sat down with me and trained me face to face, which is really unusual. First, it can be difficult to get a job in the industry when you don't have any experience. When you don't have a background in sales or finance, they're kind of, I don't know. And then a lot of the onboarding is just like videos. So
That was
it's
the
not,
same in real estate. Yep. And I
yeah,
was looking for someone to talk to me in person and show me the ropes.
yes, you kind of need a mentor, especially when you're coming in from the outside and not having that experience. So I was very fortunate to find somebody who was willing to sit with me and physically train me. So I was very blessed in that respect.
And how long did that training process take?
I believe it was like about 4 to 6 weeks of daily training. It wasn't too intense or anything, but again, it was all virtual over Zoom, but it was like, sharing the screen, being able to see the everything, and working face to face, going over even role playing, like how to talk to people, how to do all the things. So it was great.
Yeah, yeah. And you were doing that while juggling kids at home, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sports.
Yes. Yes. Three boys. So yeah, they keep me busy for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, so from there, I mean, what other experience did you have kind of with lenders in your backstory, right? Like, do you, like, you've bought a house, or, like, what had your experience been that you walked in with?
Yeah, my only experience was, in buying a home, and then of course we had the family friend who was in the industry, but I hadn't even really like, picked his brain too much about what it all involved. Um, I really was kind of, I once I got hired and got trained and everything, I did not realize all that was even involved. I kind of understood the mortgage process, but I didn't understand how much marketing would be involved,
Mm,
and hustle, and going out and getting your own business. So
yeah.
that part of it, I underestimated that part of it for sure.
Okay, so talk about that. So there's the number crunching side of things that might be intimidating to people, but you've said that that was fairly self-explanatory when got, and I guess they have computer programs that help
Yeah,
you a lot
absolutely.
now.
There's a lot of
So
software and things to help you figure out income calculations and all those things. Mhm.
right, and then from there, you have to drum up some business, right?
That's right. That's the challenging part. And
Okay.
also, I'm fairly new to Orlando. I had lived in Williamsburg for a long time. And so my network wasn't really that wide here, unfortunately. And so, that has been the challenging part for me is to go out and get the business. But it's been a blessing because I really widened my net personally. I've gained a lot of friendships. It's forced me to get out of my comfort zone and be more outgoing, and I've gotten to use the creative side of my brain in the marketing, which I do enjoy. So
Yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, you had your homeschool network, right? And your church network. And then, what does this look like in terms of, you know, I, a lot of people may kind of nail bite and be like, I don't want to put myself out there. But like, how is it that you just talk to people and let them know that you're a lender if they're going to be buying a house?
yeah, anybody and everybody. Yeah, and you do in this side of the industry. It's a little different, I guess, for realtors, but on our side, we do look for more referral partners. So it's like anybody in the finance industry. I hear your dog. Um,
That's Charlie.
Anybody in the finance industry, like CPAs, accounts, financial planners, even family law attorneys. But then the number one, obviously, is a realtor. Generally, people go to the realtor first, and then they come to get pre-approved with a lender. So, I partner with a lot of realtors, and that's been my main, strategy is connecting with as many realtors as I can.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're not necessarily directly soliciting business from strangers.
I try, but yeah, it's more working with referral partners.
Right. And that's how I end up working too, is mostly with referrals.
Mhm.
So yeah. Okay. So then when you first were getting started, once you're licensed, you're 4 to 6 weeks in, you're trained, you're ready to hit the ground running. Um, and all of this has taken less than 2 months, right?
Well, it took me it took me a little longer, I think, because it took me. I did a solid month of interviewing with different
Oh,
companies
okay.
before I
Yeah.
chose one, and
Yeah.
then obviously starting to get trained and all of that. So I think it was probably August. No, well, yeah, it was probably August last year, but when I started hitting the ground running.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. And then, so you haven't been doing this that long, so this is so fresh for you,
Yeah.
and you know what it takes. What were things that you were worried about when going into it?
Uh-oh.
Okay. So Paula, when you were starting to think about this, were you thinking about any other industries to go into, or did you have any concerns or worries that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking into going deeper into coaching or possibly going back to school for counseling. My background is actually social work
Oh,
and
okay.
art. So I've always wanted to do therapeutic art therapy type things because my heart is really to help people. I think that's what, if like you boiled everything down to, I love helping people. So I did go towards the mortgage industry because of a few things, the flexibility of it, being able to work from home, but also because there's no ceiling on what you can make. It's commission only, which that's how my husband and I have lived forever because he's commission only also. So it didn't scare me. But the earning potential is greater than anything. And it was also something I could start very, very quickly. So, and in that industry, I still get to help people in a really meaningful way. I mean, your first home purchase is, it's the biggest purchase you can possibly make, and such a joyful thing for people. So I love being part of that process.
Yeah. So talk more about, kind of the mission that you find in what people would a lot of times write off as just like business and numbers. Talk about the people side of things.
Yeah, I'm definitely not, I don't focus. I mean, obviously the numbers are very integral, but I really enjoy getting to meet the people and getting to hear their story and talking about what their goals are and then helping them find the solution to get to where they want to be. That part of it is really enjoyable for me.
And that's what I like about real estate too, is like you're helping somebody get into a home and that's, that's going to determine their entire future lives, in terms of who their neighbors are and who their kids are friends with and all of that. And sometimes there are challenges and you really want them to be able to get into a home and so there's some problem solving too, right? And I
Yeah.
bet you use all of your problem solving prowess on a
Yeah.
daily basis, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of, it can be like a little bit of a puzzle. Okay, how can I make this work? How can I make the numbers work to where we need to be? What's the solution? And then I'm still learning things too. So it can be fun in that respect, for sure.
Yeah. And what about sometimes people maybe come to you with not the greatest credit and you end up maybe coaching them in that context? What is your role in that sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. I do work with people if they are, have some kind of credit challenge, and I can run an analysis for them and show them what's going to be the best way to go, what's going to be the first step, what's going to yield the best return on their, paying this off first and then this and how much, what percentage to pay it down to, and those kind of things. So I do a lot of that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really enjoy it when I get to help somebody who hasn't been able to buy a home yet. And we overcome those hurdles and figure out a way to make it happen because really that's the home ownership is the cornerstone to building wealth and having financial security.
Exactly. It really should be taught, I think, in high school, like how to buy a home course, or something that teaches them just these basic principles of like what they need to do to be ready to be able to make that purchase. Because you're right, it is foundational in building wealth.
Right. And then, I think everyone kind of thinks it'll just happen to them, but you really have to plan for it, right?
You do.
And so even when someone isn't in a position to buy a home right now, you can help them plan for it for next year,
That's right.
and show them exactly what creditors are looking at and the different credit bureaus are and how they're rating different things that they're doing, right?
Yep,
So,
exactly.
yeah, so what misgivings did you have when you were starting? Like, what might someone be thinking right now? Like, yeah, but
Well, for me, it was okay. I haven't worked a traditional job in like 20 years, or
right,
18
right.
years,
Yeah.
whatever it was. I was working for myself, which I had a lot of skills that I could apply on a resume. Obviously, in homeschooling my kids, there's a lot of skills involved in that. But I was like, can I get somebody to hire me when I don't have this kind of experience? So I had to really sell myself in,
Yeah. And that's
in
what
terms of,
everyone has to do. That's the big thing to
yeah.
overcome. So, what were some of the skills that you took from homeschooling that you used to sell yourself?
Yeah, I took three things, if I can remember correctly, and I just took the 3 points and I hammered them in every interview. I hammered it home. Was the self-discipline. I mean, to get up every day and have a schedule and homeschool your kids and run a business at the same time, you have got to kind of have like a system, like a block schedule or something that you have a flow of your day, a routine, and that's not something everybody can do. A lot of people when they were faced with COVID and they had to work from home, it was like, I can't get anything done, because they're used to leaving the house to do that. And I was used to being at home. And so the transition for me it was no big deal. The other thing was just the creativity, okay, that side of things, just thinking outside of the box. And so I have been able to incorporate a lot of creative marketing into my job. And it's really helped me stand out and set myself a little bit apart from the other loan officers and be a little bit more memorable in that way. So that has helped me. And then the third thing was,
Well, before you do the third thing, can I just ask you more about your
yeah,
creative marketing? Is this like social media or like what do you do for your creative marketing?
yeah, actually, I do a lot of social media, which when I started, people were kind of like, are you really going to do that? And I'm like, yeah, I really am. Um, And so I had had a lot of experience doing the social media with my art. And so I was able to, and actually, I branded myself as mortgage artist to kind of bridge the gap for all the people that knew me as an artist. I was
Uh-huh.
like, this is a left turn, so I need to bridge this gap. Um, Before I even had an idea of how that was going to integrate. But now I have, found ways to use it in the marketing. Just in my posts, I'll post about the art and combine it with mortgage loans.
Uh-huh.
I've done closing gifts that are pictures of their home. I've
Oh,
started
wow. Yeah.
doing art gallery open houses that helps drive traffic to the open houses for the realtors.
I love that.
So lots of different fun ways to incorporate the art into the marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Um, yeah. And so going back to bridges from homeschooling into the loan officer world, was there anything else that you,
My third thing, hold on,
yeah,
my brain. But, you're gonna have to cut this part out.
sure.
But I woke up with a really bad migraine, so my
Oh,
brain is like,
thanks for doing this anyway.
oh yeah, no problem. So it was thinking outside the box. It was I'm forgetting. Oh, detail,
Self-discipline.
detail. Okay, this is what it is. The third thing is that I'm extremely detail oriented as an artist. I notice everything, super observant. And so that skill transferred really well into this because you have got if one little thing is wrong on the paperwork, you have to be able to spot it.
Yeah.
And so that skill has been really valuable in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then when you became a lender and you actually started working, and you said you're working on commission. I think that scares a lot of people. But same thing with real estate. The sky's the limit for you're not putting any kind of ceiling on yourself for how much income you can make. So with the commission, like how quickly, when do you get paid, and like what are all those details? Like,
Well, like in real estate, you can work a deal, work a deal, work a deal, and you don't get paid till it actually closes. And then, even then, for my side of it, I have to wait till the loan is funded, and then I have to wait till it gets on the next pay period. So you can be waiting even a couple weeks after closing before you see the paycheck for me. But yeah, the commission only, like I said, it didn't scare me because that's how I've been used to living. But for everybody that might not work, if you need that regular paycheck, then that's probably not the industry to go into for you. But if it's something where you have the support of maybe another person that's working, and you can invest the time, it'll take time to build your business. Even if you're the most well-connected person, it still takes time to have regular steady income coming in doing this.
and how long does it take typically from when you pre-approve someone to when you get paid? So that's like 60 days then?
Yeah, I would say in a perfect world, if the person gets pre-approved and immediately finds a home, yeah, it could be 45 to 60 days.
And then, but sometimes it goes out 90 days.
Yes,
Right.
because a lot of times you pre-approve someone and then they don't end up finding a house. I had one recently just close that I pre-approved in January, and so
Okay.
it took
Yeah.
till May to find a home and close.
Right. And then you'll get paid in June.
Exactly.
But it creates a pipeline effect, right? That's what we call it, a pipeline effect. So at first you don't get instant gratification
It's not instant gratification
at
for
all.
sure.
But at the same time, when you are consistent, then, and that's another thing homeschool moms are great at
Yes.
being. You
Yep.
just got to be consistent and get up and keep pounding the pavement and keep
That's
working
right.
every day. How many hours a day did you start working? Like maybe now you're full time, but like, was it a kind of a ramp up, or was it like
Yeah, I
had to
would say it
do
was.
40 hours a week right away?
Yeah, no, I would say it was a ramp up because I didn't have the enough referral partners. I had to build that up slowly. But my day consists of different things now because when you start out, you don't have any loans to work on. So you're just trying to get the business. So you're just doing the marketing. But yeah, I would say the thing with this job, and I'm sure you've experienced it too, is that if, it can go late into the night. Like I stopped working about 9:30 last night. But I didn't have a lot going on early in the morning, so it kind of evens out. But the hours are weird. I do work on the weekends, but I do, in some respect, I also control my schedule. Further into the business, I can maybe put in some more boundaries of like, okay, I'm not going to take any calls after 7 p.m. or something like that. When you're first getting started, you're not going to not answer your phone.
Right, right. Exactly. Yeah, well, I kind of like that because sometimes most of my work is, quote unquote, after hours. So, but during the day, I can be outside and I can run my errands and, go to doctor's appointments, whatever it is that you have to do, and then get all my work done, after dinner kind of thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I like the flexibility in
Hmm.
this industry. There are times my son has accused me that when he gets married, I'm probably going to be doing a deal on,
You have to be on the phone.
I'm going to be on the phone or sending texts. And I'm like, no, I will put away my phone when you get married.
Yeah, it can be kind of, an all-consuming thing at times. And then
Right.
and then it can be really slow too. So it's kind of
Right. Yeah. So talk
ebbs
about
and
that. I
flows.
think you got started right when everything is slowing down with the interest rates. So,
Yeah.
to what extent do people need to kind of be aware of the economy and, the impact of different, political events?
Yeah, well, it makes a big difference. Obviously, it does have an effect on the housing market. For me, it was strategic for me. I was like, the industry is slow, it's understaffed, and this is a great time for me to get in and position myself for when things do pick up. So if I tried to jump in when it was crazy busy and everybody slammed, no one's going to take the time to train me. No one's going to, it would be, I would be thrown in and not able to handle it. So I feel like the timing was perfect for me. And for anybody else, it's still historically slower than
Yes.
it could be.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
think, a lot of people have gotten out of the industry. And I think as homeschool moms, we swim against the current, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a good time. Honestly, it's a good time to get in and get yourself positioned for when things do pick up because it's not going to stay like this forever. And
Right.
nothing ever does, right?
Right, right, exactly. Yep. And have you already noticed a like kind of a seasonal effect? Maybe
Yeah.
Florida's different from Virginia, but in terms of when people are wanting to buy houses.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little more all year around here, but still, it does, this is the time of year, the spring, and into the summer is when most people move. So this is obviously more high season, like it is everywhere.
Right. And so by the time someone's listening to this podcast, it may already be kind of going into the summer and fall when it's a good time to jump into the industry and get your feet wet and put down roots and learn how to do things, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
And hopefully the war will be cleared up and all the things, and things will kind of get back on track because the interest rates were coming down very, very slowly, but they were trending down. And then the war happened and things kind of
Back up. Yeah.
went
But
off
a
track.
lot of it is just perception too, right? Because
It is. It
still
absolutely is.
people are buying houses based on their perceptions from February when,
Yeah.
where they were like, okay, let's do this. And now they're not letting it stop them. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
And it's important, I think, to mention that people, you need to not wait for interest rates, right?
Right.
Because there is the housing market, the prices are still going up. And so if you wait, it's going to end up costing you a lot more when the prices go up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if people live in Florida, they can always use you as a lender. Maybe they're thinking about downsizing because they're at the end of their homeschool journey, or maybe they see grandkids on the horizon and they're thinking, we need a bigger house. I don't know. But
Right.
you can help anybody in Florida with a loan, right?
Yep.
And
Or
go ahead.
even a refi if as interest rates come down. If anyone who bought a home in the last couple of years, still the interest rates are lower than probably what they got 2 to 3 years ago.
That's true.
So refi, I can also do refis.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then from there, you're going to be in Virginia pretty soon,
Yep.
doing loans in Virginia also. But if somebody is actually interested in becoming a loan officer and a lender, would you be okay with them reaching out to you just
Absolutely.
to pick your brain a little bit? And I can put your contact info in our link tree.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. And my company is hiring because, again, we are expecting things to get very, very busy. And so we are trying to get staffed to be able to handle that.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, did you have any other thoughts for us or I don't
I don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on Shine On. And I always like to remind people to like and subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. Also, if you have anyone that you think of who is maybe a year or two ahead of you in this journey and they have had to overcome, all of the things that make us think, oh, I can't do this as a homeschool mom, but they have done it and you think they'd be great for me to interview, then just definitely let me know. So, everyone, shine on.